March to Freedom, Day 23. You may have been noticing random cameos from my cousin's cats. I'm convinced cats know when a camera's on and they like to get a little bit of spotlight. So that's Gizmo. Welcome back to Dudes Ascend, where we talk about how to elevate ourselves as men. My name is Hamilton. That's Gizmo. The other cat that you may see at some point is Tiger Lily. And today we were on day 23 of our 30-day March to Freedom from Porn challenge. You guys are rocking it, man. You guys are rock stars. And today I want to talk about why we are doing this. What's your reason for wanting to quit porn? Honestly, it's great to do a 30-day challenge to try to set a bar for yourself. If you've never made it without porn for past like 10 days or 14 days, it's great to set a higher bar for yourself and see if you can make it, something like 30 days. But really, this is about like a lifestyle change. The 30-day thing for me is making a video every day, committing to making a video every day for 30 days. But my commitment to quitting porn and not watching porn, that's like a lifelong thing for me, and it's really building a new lifestyle that's not going to end when the 30 days is over. So, a lot of people in the NoFap community, which is something I mention from time to time, if you search NoFap, you'll see a lot of guys out there doing NoFap challenges where they're trying to abstain from porn, masturbation, orgasm, whatever it is. But it really is about a lifestyle change, and many of those guys will talk about that, almost like counting days, like almost doesn't even really make sense. Tracking your progress makes sense and taking notes on relapses and things, but this is more than just trying to like achieve some challenge. And I think the last thing you want to do if you do make it through 30 days is to just go back to watching porn as much as you to your heart's content afterwards. Like, we're seeing from doing this whole process that there's a lot of reasons why we should quit. Some of the things we talked about yesterday are really important implications for your health, your bodily health and your mental health, when you see some of the research behind what this is actually doing to people's brains. So that, for me, I'm going to talk a bit about like what led me to wanting to quit porn. Really, it kind of began for me, this desire to quit began for me when I started getting deeper and deeper into meditation. Years ago, probably back in like 2009, 2010, I began meditating regularly. And at that time, I was really coming through a tough period of my life where I had realized that like I didn't really want to go out partying anymore. I used to like drink a lot at the time and be going out every weekend to bars and things. And, I had some like mental health challenges and things. And it really led me to a place where I was like, I want to just live a healthier lifestyle, like physically, spiritually, mentally. And I picked up meditation as a way to like, that I didn't, like I wanted to start taking care of myself, and clearing my mind, because I was realizing I had a lot of stress and I had a lot of like unresolved emotional issues. Just the process of trying to become present, I read like The Power of Now around that point. And that was like a life-changing book for me. The idea that real happiness really, and really the only reality that exists is in the now. It's in the present moment. And going through this process using things like meditation to realize how often we spend so much of our time like playing imaginary, made up scenarios about the future. What's going to happen next week? What's going to happen tomorrow? What are things I got to do next month or whatever? None of that's really real. We spend so much time and energy and like stressing about it, and it's just made up. We don't know what's going to happen next week. And also doing the same thing with the past, like replaying old conversations, replaying stuff that's no longer happening. And like, I'll catch myself literally like talking to myself in the car, like saying all the things that I wish I had said to someone in an argument years ago, or like, oh, I'm gonna tell you this and this and this, and like literally like replaying the conversation. It's not happening. I'm in the car by myself. Also kind of crazy because it's not real. It's not made up. It's not happening anymore. We're responding to it emotionally, and our bodies are responding to the emotions as if it's still happening, but it's not. So I became really interested and fascinated by this idea of like, well, how do you get into the present moment? And I want to live in what's real. I want to like really be connected, because also like real happiness lies in the present moment. And so how do we build these practices of getting ourselves out of playing imaginary scenarios about the future, stressing about the future, or replaying old stuff from the past that we can really just let go of? So I really started using meditation a lot to try to get present. And that was what led me to realizing that one of the biggest blocks I was having to being able to be present in the moment was pornography, this pornography habit, where so often I would be trying to meditate, or I would be thinking about doing these breathing practices that Eckhart Tolle talks about in his books, of like bringing yourself into the moment. And I would find myself so distracted many days where like these images of videos that I'd watch, or these urges to go watch porn, or just these sexual fantasies and things, were taking me out of the moment much more than anything else. And I was like, man, this is a big obstacle if I really want to get serious about this practice of just being present and connecting to the moment. Like, I gotta fix this. So that was the first thing that really led me to it. The second thing for me, when it really got serious, was, I had actually moved down to Georgia around that time when I was realizing a lot of these things. And I was going down there to like to kind of really start dating and like enter into a real committed relationship with my wife. And at the time we were just kind of like dating and trying to figure out are we gonna like move forward and really date seriously. And I told her when I was coming down that this was something I wanted to work on, that I felt was like an issue for me, that was in the way of me really becoming the person I wanted to be. And so I kind of made that clear before I was coming down, that like, hey, just so you know, like, this is something I'm aware is a problem, and I want to tell you about it, and I want to work on it. And just sharing about it is part of me working on it. But that, at the time, I'd not really like experienced like how serious of an addiction it is, and how much of a struggle it can be to try to quit. I don't think I really had an idea of like what the journey that I was embarking on was going to be like, and how tough it might be. But my journey really began with doing a lot of research, I discovered NoFap, and had been reading a lot on the Reddit forums there, and had found some guys on YouTube. One of them, like Gold Jacket Luke, is a YouTuber who talks about quitting porn and the benefits of quitting porn and what are the effects of it. And I learned a lot from a lot of those guys. Kind of inspired me to be wanting to do this kind of thing. But a couple of years into that of learning, trial and error, working on it, relapsing a lot, making progress, but kind of like 2 steps forward, 1 step back kind of thing. At some point I got invited to perform. I do spoken word poetry. I'm a spoken word poet. I used to do national poetry slams for years. I coached national poetry slams. I'm very accomplished in that world, and it's one of my passions. And So I was invited to perform at this event called the Monologues, which was partnering with the Vagina Monologues, a very well-known like theater production where there's a list of like monologues that women wrote, sort of about being a woman and about their lady parts and allowing their lady parts to speak. And it's a very powerful like series of performances written by Eve Ensler and maybe started by Eve Ensler. I think there's multiple different authors of the monologues that are part of that. But anyway, so the monologues was sort of a group of guys trying to show solidarity and so like show their support for the women in that, and the whole, all of our monologues in the monologues was supposed to be about like deconstructing toxic masculinity, like what is men's role to play in this um, feeling that many women have of feeling like not safe, not, you know, rape culture and issues that women have to deal with sexually and things, objectification, a lot of that different stuff. So like it was supposed to be about men kind of coming to the table, taking ownership of like what is their part to play in like healing that stuff, and what can we do better to make our women feel safe essentially and taken care of. And so when I was invited to that, I kind of knew immediately that I wanted to do some kind of performance about pornography. It was something I was already kind of working on. I'd never not really talked about it to many people at all. It was just kind of like I was doing it, working on it on my own, and my wife was kind of helping and being supportive, but it, you know, wasn't really something I was sharing much about. But thinking of toxic masculinity and stuff, I was like, man, I think it would be remiss to like, I think pornography and that habit and that whole industry as it exists today, like it's got to be such a huge part of the picture of like this, what we think of as toxic masculinity and these sort of bad habits that men have, or the habitualization of kind of like objectifying women and all this stuff. It's like, of course porn is like a huge part of that picture. But I knew that I didn't want it to feel preachy. I didn't want it to feel like I was pointing a finger at anyone. So I really just kind of made my poem very vulnerable. It's the most vulnerable poem to this day that I have, and that I've really only performed it a handful of times because of that, of how scary it is for me to do it and how vulnerable it feels. But I really just kind of did this and just made it totally about me and my addiction, and I shared it, and I was like trembling afraid to share this at this audience. It was probably maybe a little over 100 people in the audience, and it was received very well. And what really stuck with me was how many men in the audience came up to me afterwards with like tears in their eyes, young guys and older guys, just thanking me from like the bottom of their hearts for sharing that stuff, for being willing to talk about it openly. I mean, guys were like, man, I've always thought about that kind of thing and always thought that maybe this isn't a good thing for me, but I never knew how to talk about it because everybody seemed to always be saying that it's like good for you and that everybody does it and stuff. So I thought I was weird to, you know, question that or whatever. It's so many guys really emotional about it afterwards. And that was really the indicator to me that like I wanted to play some part in trying to help other people with my experience, because I deeply understand this experience of dealing with this addiction and wanting to quit and knowing that it's not really like serving you in any way, having this habit in your life, but like continually finding yourself right back in front of the screen, relapsing again, watching it again when, you know, even if you wake up that day and you were like, first thing you were thinking about was like, okay, I'm definitely not doing that today. I'm staying on track. And then you do it, and just like the deflation and the discouragement and the despair that you can feel when you go through that process of like relapsing over and over and over again. I mean, thousands of times, dude, I've experienced that, where I've just really sincerely been trying my best, doing 12-step meetings, you know, all the stuff that I've talked about in these videos, and still slipping up. You know, even in this 30-day challenge, I'm sitting here being super vulnerable, like talking about this issue in front of an audience of however many people want to see it on YouTube, and I could still slip up and have to go through that embarrassment of coming on here, whatever day it was, and be like, yeah, I relapsed yesterday. I have to say that publicly. Like, God, it's so embarrassing, dude. It's so humiliating. And of course, I don't want to do that. Of course, like, part of me doing this whole 30-day challenge publicly is to try to like increase my own motivation level, increase my own like accountability, push myself to give myself something to focus on. And it really has helped a lot. I've had a more successful month even with the slips than I have in a long time. So that was my reason why, those guys' reactions after that piece. And I'm going to share that piece in a link below, but I'll also have it on the end screen when it pops up, and you'll be able to see my performance at the Manalogs. And the piece is just called Addict, and it's just really my story of like dealing with this addiction and wanting to be done with it. And of course, I have so many other whys, you know, of course, throughout the years and throughout this process of trying to recover, it's like it's just been continually revealed to me how much it has affected me, you know, my success, baseline happiness level, you know, stress, anxiety, and my relationship, of course, because of all that, because of how much it affects me. Of course, my relationship has been affected. I'm just really convinced it doesn't do anything good for anybody. You know, how can something that literally like shrinks your brain be good for you? I just think people are fooling themselves if that's the story that they're sticking to. And unfortunately, you know, that's the predominant conversation, that's the predominant point of view that is shared publicly or promoted or whatever, because there's a huge industry behind, you know, selling this product and keeping people in line with consuming it. And it's just really glossing over and really acknowledging a lot of the very real damage and a lot of very real concerns about, you know, how it's affecting people's lives. Not to mention, there's documentaries out there where you can see like real sort of behind the scenes, honest accounts of the porn stars, like the men and women who were in the industry, who just felt like their lives were just wrecked by what the industry does to you and what the effect that it had on their minds and their bodies, and how suicidal they were, you know. And just, there's a lot of ugliness underneath the surface, and it's just so deep. I mean, I could talk about this for so long, and I can't talk about it too much longer because I have plans for later in the day. And but all that to say, I'm going to be continuing with this channel after this 30-day series. I might not be making a video every day, but I have so much more to talk about, and I hope at some point to begin being able to like coach other people and offer, you know, really offer my services to folks to help. And my first step of that is for me to really get better myself, because I don't feel right or in integrity trying to coach others like for pay or something while I'm still struggling with it by myself. But I do believe that I've just learned so much, that there's just so much to talk about here, and I want to continue the conversation. So this will continue after the 30 days. And I want you guys to comment below and tell me, what is your why? Like, why are you quitting porn? What was the moment for you that, like, for me, was those guys coming up to me after that performance? What was the moment for you that you were like, man, I really got to get serious about quitting this thing? Did you get caught watching it at work or something like that? Those things happen. It's a progressive disease. Like, it just gets worse and worse over time. So there's no, like I said a lot, there's no such thing as like a little bit. Tell me your why in the comments. What was the aha moment for you? And check out the video of my performance that was kind of like the difference maker for me, where I really started going to 12-step groups and seeking professional therapy and all this stuff, and really taking it more seriously. Check out that poem, because I am proud of it. I think it's a powerful piece, and I think it can inspire people, and that's what I hope to do more of. And if this channel is helping you and giving you inspiration and motivation to quit, and you feel like it's really assisted you in doing that, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Those things help boost the algorithm for YouTube. It helps put my videos in front of more people. And I think there's a lot of people that need help with this stuff, man. So if it's helping you, help me help others too by helping the channel grow. I really appreciate y'all's support. Even just the few comments that I've got have really helped keep me motivated and keep me pushing through the fear and the vulnerability and like the hesitations that I have about talking about this so openly. But this is I think it's one of the most important conversations that we can have as men right now. And unfortunately, there hasn't been many forums for us to really have very much honest conversation. So if I can contribute to creating that in some way, that's what I want to do. And I really send so much support and strength to anyone dealing with a serious addiction, trying this 30-day challenge and realizing it's harder than you thought it was going to be. Take that as extra motivation to, like, you're exactly the person that needs to do it. You're exactly the person who's going to experience some powerful benefits from removing this from your life. If you're feeling how difficult it is to go without it, that means it's become a serious addiction, and it also means that you will experience some profound benefits when you heal your brain from that, and you start to begin to heal the damage that's been done to your reward center and all that. Like, you're really going to feel like a new person. And I look forward to experiencing more of those benefits too. I've been able to have little glimpses of them here and there, where I've had days or multiple days where I just like really felt free of it, and it just felt amazing. And just even those glimpses have been enough motivation for me to be like, okay, this is worth walking through the fire for. This is worth the difficulty of trying to quit, because it felt that good to start experiencing some of the freedom on the other side. So much love to you guys on your march to freedom. We've got like 1 week left on this 30-day challenge, and I will see you guys tomorrow on day 24.